First, I think just before we do that though, would you consider yourself an evangelist, Tim?
Well, that's a great question. As I read through particularly the New Testament scriptures, I think there's a couple of things going on. So one is it seems that there are those who have the gift of evangelism.
Yes.
So Paul talks in Ephesians 4 about those who are, there's different offices, different roles in the church, and one of those is the evangelist. He encourages Timothy in 2 Timothy chapter 4, I think. Timothy, do the work of an evangelist. There are certainly, Jesus says to his disciples, pray that he'll pray to the God of the harvest that he'll raise more workers in the harvest. So there is a work to be done, which is explicitly evangelism. And we know people like that. I mean, Stu Crawshaw is a great example. He is a natural evangelist.
Yes.
And has seen wonderful fruit because of that. So there is a role. I think there are people who have a particular gifting of evangelism. Something else that's going on though is it's really curious to me that a lot of Paul's writings, when he's encouraging the churches how to live, he says surprisingly little about that active word-based, go out and keep telling your friends about Jesus. He keeps talking about how do we live as a community of God's people, how do we live in a world amongst the outsiders. But there's a couple of really interesting places where he talks about just living a quiet life. In 1 Thessalonians, he says, do your best to live a quiet life, minding your own business. I think that's really interesting. But what he does then is he then shows that living a quiet, godly life actually has an evangelistic effect. And so he has a couple of places where we can see that just the quiet, diligent living of living according to the fruits of the Spirit, living as a disciple of Jesus, being the best possible brother, sister, husband,
I think
wife,
about the
father.
being a peacemaker.
Being a peacemaker, yeah. Do your best to live at peace with outsiders. You know, all of those things actually have an evangelistic effect.